Hello, my name is Jean Kropper, and I've got Gabriel Kaszab here today. I'm looking forward to our conversation. And he is a TRE practitioner, which is trauma release exercises or tension release exercises, which is one of the amazing healing techniques that I used as part of my own healing from post-traumatic stress. I'm curious to learn more about TRE and about Gabriel's background and about healing in general. So, welcome to the podcast today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Just tell me where you are in the world.
Well, I'm in Brisbane, Australia. So I used to live in Sydney, but now I am in Brisbane.
Okay, great. Okay. And TRE, tell me a little bit about what TRE is for thinking about people who've never heard of it and don't really know what TRE is as a healing practice.
Yeah, well, TRE for me, firstly, it's an understanding. And that understanding is that we have these neurogenic tremors in the body that actually release tension, mental, physical, or emotional tension. So we do have sometimes it's not to confuse with people who have an epileptic fit or someone who has Parkinson's. Those movements are considered non-therapeutic for that particular individual. But there is the other aspect of our, it's quite interesting how that works. And these therapeutic tremors release tension, mental, physical, and emotional tension. From within the nervous system, it releases from fascia, it releases from the muscles and organs. So it's very, very healthy for us.
Okay. Yes, I've done a couple TRE workshops and I took my son as well and found it very useful. I think it's a really accessible practice. And also, I like that you can do it on your own, that you're not dependent on a practitioner for each treatment or each session. Do you want to talk a bit about that?
Oh, yeah, I think TRE was invented or founded by Dr. David Bisley, and he worked in war-torn areas and disaster zones. He saw the tremor process for people who were going through traumatic events, and he recognized that that's how the body actually releases tension. And when the body does that, it's not actually traumatized or not traumatized as much. So I guess the really beautiful thing that he did is to come up with this practice where people can bring that process back, the tremoring process back, and that they can do it on their own. So they're not dependent on a therapist. They can still see a therapist because therapists are really, really beneficial. Even myself, I'm a therapist, but I love to see other therapists because you always learn something and they have the capacity to take you deeper, to show you blind spots as well. And it's just a beautiful process with a practitioner. Having said that, the practice itself is designed so that each person can look after themselves in between sessions and after. I think that's the coolest thing about it. And it's actually a very simple practice. The practice is just to instigate the tremor process. But from that point onwards, it's really our own body's mechanism that does the rest. So it's not really a practice that we have to engage much in. We don't have to do a lot of physical exertion or mental exertion, allowing the body to do what it was designed to do. So it's very, very beautiful and very, very easy. It's very simple.
One of the things I liked too was that it was a way of releasing tension or releasing trauma without going into the stories behind it. So you don't have to go back into what happened to you. That after a trauma, you can have that tension or some of that emotional baggage stored in your body, but TRE would allow you to release it, and you don't necessarily remember what the event was. That's simply a way of releasing that stored emotional baggage from the body.
Yeah, that's right, because a lot of that trauma is stored in the body itself. And sometimes we may have picked up traumas when we were little kids and we don't remember the event or exactly what happened, and our mind couldn't put things together. But the tension is still there in the body. So this is exactly what happens. We don't need to have an actual memory of it, but the body does have a memory. The body remembers. The body keeps a score, as the book says.
Yes.
And here we actually giving the opportunity for the body to release those things that it couldn't process at the time of the event.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And just to talk about what it's like to actually do it, from my experience, you might do some movements that help you tune into where tension is in the body, and then lying down on the ground and having your knees splayed and your feet together, and just tuning into the body and allowing whatever tension is in your body to be released through sort of rhythmic tremors or waves through your body. I'm trying to describe what this would be like to someone who's never seen it. How would you explain that?
Well, I love the way you said rhythmic, because that is a beautiful thing. I think that's more beautiful than a tremor, because tremors, people have different ideas or connotations about tremors or shaking, but it is rhythmic actually. It's the body's pulse. And last night I was awake in the middle of the night, and one of the insights I had, I actually tremored in the middle of the night because that's what I do. And one of the insights I had is that it's the life pulse behind it, you know. And I love the way you said rhythmic, because it's a beautiful rhythm, and it's literally allowing for that rhythm to come back into our bodies, and to not just to come back, but to actually heal and cleanse the things that are stuck within our bodies. So it's a really beautiful thing. A lot of people feel really nice, you know, doing the tremors. So it's a beautiful vibe. And some people end up, by the end of the session, they can end up really relaxed and even blissful, you know. I don't want to promote that out there, that this is where it's going to take you, but a lot of people do, because once we get rid of tension in our body, that's what's left, that's what's underneath. It's a peaceful, blissful sort of experience. So very good. It's not just for people who have had major trauma. It's actually just for people with stress, anxiety, frustration, because if we can release that and we return to a normal baseline, and even normal is maybe even
What's
deeper,
normal? Yes.
even deeper than normal, or what a person would call normal, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, I've also know that athletes have used it quite a bit, that can help them recover quickly after working out, and also that it can increase their productivity and their results in athletics. It can help them prevent injury, because they're releasing tension that might have them move in ways that aren't healthy. So yeah, that it can be used in a lot of ways.
Yes, I read an article recently interested in performance. So they're not really interested in releasing mental or emotional tension. They want to see the results, and it does help them with performance, because it does release tension and it allows their body to recover. So, you know, for an athlete, recovery is really important. So this is a beautiful recovery post-exercise, any kind of exercise. But what I believe is that if an athlete has mental and emotional tension in their body, they're literally injured, you know, and they may not realize that. So a lot of that tension could be sitting in the shoulder, and then that person's shoulder is a little bit weaker. They don't know about it because they haven't physically hurt it, but there is an emotional tension there. They might hurt themselves in the gym, or they might hurt themselves actually playing sport. And then they'll probably say, it was the gym exercise or whatever I did that hurt my shoulder. And true, but also there was a weakness there from the emotional impact or mental impact. And I think that is not seen in our society, that mental and emotional tension can create injuries as well, like that, you know?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, there's a very close relationship between old emotion and pain and injury, that you can have old tension or and feel pain, but if you can release all that tension and that baggage from the body, that pain can go with it as well.
That's right. Yeah. If the pain and tension goes, then obviously your muscles are going to work to their optimum as well.
And when we were talking before, I liked what you were saying. There's a lot of discussion about performance, about athletes, and when we interview them after they've won something, you know, how did your training go? How hard did you work? But we often don't talk about the recovery and the integration time that's also part of that amazing performance that they did, that the healing and the recovery is integral to that performance.
Yeah, I'm not an athlete myself, and I don't spend much time with athletes, but I imagine that the top athletes have to have, you know, they put in the hard work. And like you said, they tell us about all the hard work they've done, and all the suffering and the struggles and all that. And you know, we think, I have to do the same as them. But I imagine that the very top athletes also having very, very strong recovery process. Otherwise, their bodies would break down. So I think that is obviously not something that's spoken much about. And TRE is a recovery process, and rest. We need rest as well, and we need good nutrients. And there's a lot that goes on to become a top athlete or a successful businessman or businesswoman. It's the same thing. We can do a lot of hard work to bring our business to higher heights, but unless we actually know how to recover, how to rest, how to recharge, it won't last long. Yeah.
Now, we were also talking about men and mental health, and you were saying that a lot of men feel like there really isn't hope for change, and that there's a lot of people out there who don't know of different ways of healing or releasing, and may feel rather trapped with whatever anxiety or mental health issues that they're dealing with. Do you want to talk a bit about men and mental health? What you've seen?
Yeah, I think it seems difficult at this point, from the men that I meet at least, to actually take the time out and to look after themselves, because healing requires time. Any kind of healing requires time, and I think men don't seem to have that sort of understanding that it is necessary for them to be able to perform. They actually need to take a step back, and take a step back quite often. I think one of the business models is to sharpen your saw or sword. If you're working in the forest cutting trees, you have to sharpen your axe and you have to sharpen your saw. If you don't do that and the axe is blunt, you're going to work a lot harder to cut the tree, and you might even get injured because you're having to put in extra force into whatever you're doing. So taking the time out to sharpen your tools is actually important towards going forward and doing a good job. And it's the same with mental and emotional health. Yeah, I think men generally think that they just have to keep on going. And if they just keep on going, things will turn out okay. They just turn out another thing, do another project, next week everything will be all right. But it's actually when we take a step back to reassess, to rest. And TRE is beautiful because it's actually a non-doing practice. You actually don't have to do anything, The name tension release exercises denotes that there are exercises, but there is actually no exercises. It's actually just postures. It's like taking off your boots. You've come home from work, you take off your boots and you lie back and you just gather your breath for 10, 15 minutes. But with TRE, the other benefit is that you're not just gathering your breath, you're actually releasing tension at the same time without having to do anything. Because the miracle of the nervous system, it was designed to do that effortlessly. And so there's no effort in it. If there's effort in trying to do it, trying to make it happen. Yeah. So I would say for the men out there, it's a beautiful, beautiful practice where you don't have to do anything. You just need to take the time out and relax and allow your body to discharge.
Yeah. And you're not talking about your problems, so it's
No,
not going into your head.
Problems, but it can be even surface level tension with the traffic and all sorts of things like that. They need to be released as well. They happen on a daily basis, and if we don't release that tension, it just accumulates, and eventually our system gets overwhelmed and overloaded.
Yeah, and you can end up snapping at people you care about, or grumbling at people at work who haven't done anything, and causing trauma or drama in your own life that you don't need.
And generally not feeling good. Like even if you don't snap at people, you don't actually feel great. But with practices like TRE, you actually start feeling good within yourself. So I think releasing tension is one thing, but feeling good and feeling alive, feeling, is really important. It's something that we don't really look at much. Why release tension, Well, because
we're always looking at it as solving a problem rather than simply feeling better and feeling more connected and alive and joyful.
Yes.
Yeah. And you also mentioned that you saw TRE as opening up between love and fear.
Yes, this is probably something that men are not going to like to hear. We just spoke about men, but one of the insights that I had, I meditate a lot as well. So when I talk about love, I don't mean romantic love. I mean this universal force, life force energy. which is loving. Maybe loving would be a better word than love, because it's not a thing. It's something that kind of constantly happens. The understanding I had is that this loving energy flows in all directions, whereas fear actually is a contraction. It only contracts, right? So a tremor is really the meeting of this love energy that goes in all directions and fear, where fear cannot face, it cannot make it in the face of love. So it kind of tremors and dissipates, or it dissipates in the face of love. It can't handle the frequency of love. It's much greater.
Yeah.
And that lovingness is the feeling good, the joyfulness, the happiness, the feel good factor that kind of shines through and comes through. Yeah. So in relation to the love and fear, I think it's important because I think all our worries, concerns, all our doubts, anxieties are actually fear based. And in simplistic terms, they equate to contraction in the body. And the antidote to that contraction is movement. And it's the movement of love, right? And probably this is where men might struggle, because getting in the body and feeling and sensing love, it might not resonate with them. Really, it's to come alive and to feel amazing and to release those chains, those blockages. And there are many of them. There are thousands of them in different forms.
Well, hey, I bet you could turn it around that men certainly value a sex life. So if you're tuned into your body and you've let go of tension and you're more open, you're going to have an awful lot better sex life.
Well, yeah, you're absolutely right about that, because for sex to be good, for good performance, there can't be tension, or there has to be minimal tension. Tension is not something that helps that department. So the more tension we can release, the more that can that area can increase in whatever as well.
Yes.
And an orgasm is seen as a tremor. And it is a beautiful tremor. It's that beautiful energy coming through. And orgasms are healing. It's a healing aspect of humanity. When an orgasm actually comes through, it's healing the person. And there is shakes and tremors because it is releasing something in the process. For it to come through, something needs to give way.
Yeah, we're not scared of that. So yes,
That's right, yeah.
Tremors aren't something to be scared of. Yeah, and also, with TRE, you're much more present in the world. And a partner would appreciate that, because if you're actually present, then it's much more charged, passionate, interesting, alive when somebody, a partner is actually emotionally present. And so often that's not true. So.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's a beautiful insight. Oh, yeah.
Now, just looking into your background, you've worked in other areas first. And how long ago did you come into TRE, and when did you come to Australia?
Well, I came to Australia 36 years ago. I was 11. So I am nearly 47 at the moment. But TRE, I actually experienced, TRE is the practice, but neurogenic tremors. I experienced neurogenic tremors around 10 or more years ago in meditation. So I was meditating for a while. I was trying to be more present, practicing presence and awareness. And one evening I had to get out of bed, which I normally never do if I wake up in the middle of the night. But this night I felt, okay, I have to get out of bed for some reason. I don't know why. And I went into my living room and I lay down on the floor. And as soon as I lay down on the floor, I felt this energy in my feet. It's kind of like heat and energy in there. And it moved up into the legs, and from the legs into the upper body. And then I started shaking, tremoring. So for me, it was like an energetic experience, you could say, that actually activated the tremor mechanism, or reactivated the tremor mechanism, because the tremor mechanism is always there if we allow it.
Yeah, I see it as sort of rhythmic waves of energy sort of moving through the body that you're letting that go. You're tuning into it and letting it go. And sometimes people get scared of the word tremors or shaking. But it's a joyful, it can be a joyful experience. Yeah. And it can be just a neutral experience too. Yeah.
I mean, when I first experienced it, I didn't know what was happening, so I had no context, and then I started tremoring from that night onwards. I started tremoring every time I would meditate. And I concluded very quickly that this is a release. I didn't know anything about healing at the time. I was not interested in healing. I didn't think I needed healing at the time, but I concluded, okay, this is some sort of healing, releasing blockages in my body. And I allowed the tremors to be as they are. I never tried to start them. I never tried to stop them or interfere with them. I just focused on the meditation that I was doing, and then I just allowed the tremors to be. And whenever I would stop meditating, the tremors would stop. So it was like, I did that for about 7 years, and I didn't know anything about it. I just left it at that. I didn't tell anyone about it because I thought nobody's going to understand me, and I don't know anyone else who does. So, yeah, for about 7 years, I did that. And then I came across Emmeline she's from Brisbane as well. And she's a TRE trainer. I didn't know she was a TRE trainer. I only knew her as a massage therapist and counselor. But I knew she was a little bit spiritual as well. So I decided one day to ask her, hey, do you know anything about shaking in meditation? And she said, well, Gab, that sounds like TRE. And I said, what is that? What is TRE? And she explained it to me. And that's why I said initially TRE is an understanding. But I think the understanding is really important because even for someone like me who had been tremoring for 7 years, the understanding that Emmeline provided to me via TRE was actually allowing me to sink deeper into it.
Yeah.
So I hadn't done TRE yet, but just the understanding that she is sharing with me allowed me to go, okay, I'm not the only one. This is a normal thing. This is actually a healthy thing. There's a lot of people out there doing it. There's actually people who are trying to instigate it for health benefits. So that understanding alone allowed me to go deeper into it and to be even more relaxed with the process. Now I had no doubts, And then TRE is also the practice that actually not integrates, but the practice that kickstarts this process. And that's all it does. TRE just kickstarts the process. Once the process has started, the tremors do their own thing, or the nervous system does its own thing. Nothing else is needed. You probably know, you understand. If you go on your back, all it takes is like a second. You go on your back, you bring your leg up, and it's there. It is that simple. It is not easy. For someone who's done it for a couple of times. Some people will have trouble starting this process for different reasons. Then they need a practitioner to help them.
A guide.
A guide, a practitioner, yes. So
I think I also wanted to mention how this happens in the natural world, that it's not just a human thing. But I remember reading about like if a deer had been chased by a lion or something, and the deer feigned death to prevent being eaten by the lion, and let's say the lion goes away, that the deer would have a lot of terror stored in their body, and that in the natural world that they might stay still for a while, and then afterwards, as part of recovery, they would start shaking and shaking, and then the terror would disperse, and then 10 minutes later, they'd get up, walk away, and be just fine again. And that TRE is basically guiding human beings in doing basically the same process of allowing the body to do what it does naturally to release, old baggage or old tension. How would you explain that, or is that the best way to say it?
No, that was great, and it's a good example. And sometimes I talk about it, and I say that animals are not silly enough to turn off the process. So the process is already there in humans, but I think we have gotten a bit too intelligent, and in the process of getting a bit too intelligent, we have shut off that process, that mechanism, because it doesn't look right. And because we don't understand it. Whereas the deer doesn't have that mind, that thinking mind that says, what's going on here? Why is my body shaking? The deer has no choice. So it works perfectly for the deer. And then the deer is not traumatized, and it can operate in its environment without being traumatized. It can operate with its full senses. Otherwise, it would see a blade of grass, a yellow blade of grass, and think it's a lion and get spooked straight away. But because it's released that, it's now able to, and that's the benefit of tremoring, so that we can return to our senses and so that we can perform in the world as we should with clarity. We are not introducing it into the body for the first time. It's there, it's forgotten, it's being put aside. And now with TRE, we're trying to say, hey, this is useful, this is beneficial. And I think TRE has been around for 25 years or so. And, as time goes on, they are finding more and more benefits for it. They're helping people with neurological disorders. They're helping athletes, found it's good for athletes, and found it's good for stress, tension, anxiety, as well as trauma. And there's many, many other benefits.
I believe in some places, women can tremor or shake after childbirth and release any tension or trauma from birth. And I believe in some cultures, that's a very normal thing to do, which makes a lot of sense. And it certainly gets rid of brain fog and increases your productivity and your sense of being present and alive.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, childbirth is an intense experience. And when a physical body goes through that kind of experience, it needs to release something. And I have heard of cases where a woman has given birth and she was shaking and tremoring, and the medical people didn't know what was going on. They were freaking out. And the more they were freaking out, she was freaking out. And she said when the medical staff left the room, then she felt like the body could come back online and release. And then when they came back in, close up again, because they didn't know what was going on. So
yes,
would be important. Yeah, I don't understand why is not introduced to medical people and nurses, because it's very important to understand what's actually going on for a human being, especially during birth. And I imagine in the medical departments, with all sorts of emergencies and injuries and all sorts of things that people, they're exposed to these kind of things. And
yeah, I remember once I was in a medical office and having very small surgery. It wasn't anything serious, but they saw it as a seizure, and they scared the daylights out of them. And I wasn't scared at all, because it felt better after a while. It's like, great, this is the release. I'd had some bad experiences in hospitals as a child. And when I was back in a medical situation, those memories came back, and it was allowing me simply to release the fear. And then I was absolutely fine. The doctor was all freaked out, and I had to say, hey, no, it's really okay. I'm well, I don't have epilepsy. This was just a normal body response of releasing tension. And I do wish that more medical personnel had training in that, since it's a natural process.
Yes.
I mean, we're aware of shaking with fear, but I think the bad thing is that we see that as a symptom of fear rather than a symptom of releasing the fear.
Oh, you're absolutely right. Yes, it's not it's the release of fear. And I think that's how our society sees the tremor. It's like, I am about to go into panic, and then they see their body shaking or tremoring, and they panic even more. But that's actually, I kind of sometimes relate it to, if you've been at a car crash and the ambulance arrives and people panicking because the ambulance arriving and trying to shoot the ambulance away. And it's like, no. The ambulance is actually here to help, We're glad that the ambulance is here, the medics are here. And it's the same with the tremors. I often tell people, one of the prerequisites for tremoring is a sense of safety. So when the deer that you mentioned shakes in the wild, it only shakes when it is safe to do so, physiologically safe. So the lion has gone, there's no longer any danger. So the deer senses safety, and only then it releases. Though I tell people, if you are tremoring right now, it means you are safe. So sit on that. Like how beautiful is it to actually feel safe? Your body feels safe. It feels so safe that it can actually totally let go and release and relax. It's even during a car accident or something like that. The danger has passed, let's say, and the individual, they have been in shock, but it is now safe enough for the body to actually release. And the body doesn't wait for tomorrow. It doesn't say, well, I'm going to do this business, next week when situation is different. No, it's extremely efficient. As soon as there's physiological safety, it goes to work. But what happens, the body does that, and then the mind kind of goes, what's going on? I'm going into panic now, and not realizing that's actually now they're actually releasing all that tension.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
then,
But
then the
it's a
soul
healthy
comes
thing
on.
to allow rather than something to clench or try to prevent. It's actually, yeah,
Yeah.
a good thing.
And
Yeah.
if we don't understand that, and we don't, because we're not taught that from an early age, then it is difficult, I guess, when you are faced with it, to understand. I was actually fortunate. I haven't mentioned to you, around 10 years ago. I'm not sure if this episode had already happened, this energetic episode, but around 10 years ago, I also had an experience of peace, which, funnily enough, when I first experienced it for the first time, I referred to as tensionlessness, because there was no mental, physical, or emotional tension. And then I realized that I must have a lot of tension in me at every other given time. And it was a beautiful experience. But then what the experience did, it kind of erased the positive thinker in me. I was a positive thinker, but nothing wrong with positive thinking. But I guess I was using positive thinking to mask things. And this experience got rid of the positive thinker in me. So a few days later, I had a panic attack or an anxiety attack for a whole day. It was actually a beautiful experience because somehow I understood, because I had done meditation and I was aware. In the middle of that anxiety attack, I was actually at peace somehow. I could feel all the turbulence and all the nasty feelings and emotions and mental clutter and everything, the pain in the body. And somehow I was at peace, and I understood that this is where the work is being done. This is where the work is being released. And I was shaking. I was actually shaking at the time. And I was not bothered about the shaking either. I kind of had an intuitive knowing that this is when my body is releasing as well. So it does happen. It does happen for us when life sort of hits us pretty hard and things like that happen. But it's beautiful because when life does that, to help out. So it's like you're not on your own.
Yes. Yes. So rhythmic tremors after a crisis or simply as part of releasing anxiety or stress is a healthy thing. It's not something to fear.
Yes, and if more people can understand that, then they can incorporate with it.
Yeah.
I'll give you a story. My mother, I had to practice TRE with my mum. I needed, as part of my training, I needed volunteers. So I had a session with my mum, and she only did it with me, I think, to help me out, and she wasn't really interested in TRE. But after the session, she said to me, "Oh my God, I thought I had Parkinson's all these years because my neck was wanting to tremor for many years, and she would suppress it and hold it because of the fear of Parkinson's." And I think that's what works against a lot of people. We have Parkinson's and epilepsy, and we only see that aspect. We don't see that the healing aspect of tremoring. So for
Yes.
years, my mother was holding on to her tremors. I think that's not healthy either. Like that can probably cause a lot of damage in the long term.
Yeah.
So again, the understanding is beautiful because now, after years of, stress and concern about it, that stress was gone. That alone, even if she doesn't tremor ever again, the stress of that is gone.
Yes. Okay. Now, how can people work with you? Do you work online or simply face to face?
I can work online via Zoom, and I can work face to face. In Brisbane, I have 2 offices that I work out of. One is in West End, which is fairly central to the Brisbane CBD. And the other one is on the south side of Brisbane at Holland Park.
Okay. And what's your business name, or how would people find you?
It's Gabriel Kaszab is my name.com. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining the podcast, and I really appreciate your speaking up about TRE.
Thank you, Jean.
Thank you very much.
Amazing work.